main muscles used in the first session was core and upper body. Therefore, an effective cooldown would be to take part in the yoga class. This would stretch the performer and cool down their core muscles. It would also reduce heart rate as it isn't demanding too much of an intense workout. They should be able to complete it, and as they would be up to week 5 in their training program, so their fitness level should have increased. The instructor at the yoga class would also cool down the performer afterwards. Effective cool down for the plyometric session could be to participate in an ice bath. This would be effective as it would pump a lot of blood to the leg muscles due to vasoconstriction and vasodilation, and would therefore supply the leg muscles with a sufficient amount of oxygen in order to break down lactic acid and therefore reduce risk of DOMS or injury. Finally, the final session of week 5, the performer could cool down by using a roller. This would they would need to roll their legs as they played a major role in the final session, and therefore need to be lengthened out and stretched again. If this didn't happen, the performer may injure themselves due to the muscles being too tight or shortened slightly in length due to contracting in exercise. If the performer uses the roller, it would also be a cool down to reduce heart rate of the performer, as they would not be moving too much and could therefore return to their resting state. As week 5 is the penultimate week of the training program, the intensity of the sessions are high and the amount of reps and sets are increased, which refers to the intensity aspect of progressive overload. In the final session of week 5, the performer would mainly work on their core and upper body, as the battle ropes and press-ups would work on upper body strength, and the sit-ups and decline press-ups would mainly work on core muscles. The final 2 sessions of week 5 would mainly work on power and leg strength. This is because the performer would need higher levels of power and leg strength as a football player compared to the levels of upper body strength. Week 5 would still contain 3 rest days for the performer to heal their body and make sure they can perform in the whole training program without overloading and causing injury to themselves. Week 6, they take part in jumps with the resistance band, kettlebell swings, squats, split squats, Russian twists. And Thursday they take part in chin-ups, clap press-ups, tricep dips, press-ups, bicep curls. And then Friday they take part in alternate lunges, sandbag squats, standing jumps, squat jumps. For a warm-up for the first and last session of week 6, the performer could take part in swimming lengths of a swimming pool, as long as they don't go too fast and stay relaxed. For the session, they could do static and dynamic stretches based around the arms, for example, swinging the arms across the front of the body. For the other session in week 6, the performer could take part in a light boxercise session, as it would warm up the muscles in their arms and slightly in their legs, as the performer would need to be using these muscles in the training session. As both the first and last session of week 6 mainly focus on the legs, but also have a component of core exercises, the cool down for these sessions would be very similar, and they can consist of the performer using a roller to roll around their leg muscles, using the front, back and sides of their legs to stretch the muscle out and get the blood flowing around the area to remove the lactic acid. In the other session, the cool down could be making circular motions with their arms and using stretches such as holding the elbow behind the head and crossing the performer's arms over the body. For an activity to reduce the performer's heart rate, they could gently jog around the facility. As week 6 is the final week of the training program, the sessions would have high intensity. The frequency of the sessions would be more often due to the sessions, and the sessions would last longer, and there is more to do. But it would all be related to the position of the performer and the sport. This is the 4 components of progressive overload all being factors in the training program in order to improve the performer as much as possible. The first session of week 6 and the final session of week 6 work on power and leg strength. It's the main component of fitness, and the performer wanted to improve on, as it is so important in football, which is their chosen sport. Sessions are first and last, so the performer doesn't have 2 consecutive sessions of using the same muscle groups and therefore don't want to get bored of the exercise and training. Training consists of a lot of jumping and squats, which relates to plyometric training, which is a main training type to improving power. The other training session on week 6 mainly focusing on upper body strength. The reason core exercises aren't used as much in week 6 is because they have played a major role in the training program already, and therefore the training program can improve other factors for the final week as they are more important for a football defender. Client 2. Client 2 is a 19-year-old male who has just left college and is currently working as a play worker, where he works 4 to 5 days per week. They don't have any disabilities. For every day he works, he has 4 to 5 hour shifts, but the intensity of the job is low to mid intensity. He takes part in 2 to 3 sessions of exercise per week in about 6 to 8 hours, meaning he trains for about 2 to 3 hours per session at mid to high intensity. He doesn't smoke and only consumes about 2 cups of alcohol per week. Client 2 gets 6 to 7 hours of sleep per night, and they have a low to mid level of stress. The diet of Client 2 is decent, as they consume 3 to 4 pieces of fruit and veg per day, with 3 to 5 cups of water. However, they are classed as overweight due to the BMI test and would like to improve on their overall health and fitness. I've designed them a 6-week training program in order to improve their fitness and BMI score, so they aren't listed as overweight. However, they do take part in 6 to 8 hours of exercise per week. The exercise isn't very intense, and their fitness levels are still average. In the training program, they will use lots of different types of training, which will improve their different components of fitness and also help them gain high muscle to fat ratio. For the training program, Client 2 filled out a PAR-Q test to make sure they are able to take part in the training program, and also to give any information that may be needed by an instructor, for example, in exercises that may be avoided by the client as they cannot take part, or any medication that might be needed during the program. They have also given consent to taking part in the training program. Week 1 would consist of press-ups, sit-ups, a 1K run, bench press, and a plank. And session 2 of week 1 would consist of bicep curls, chin-ups, 60-meter sprints, squats, and using battle ropes. The warm-up for Monday session consists of cross arms over, crossing arms behind the back, quad pulls, jumping jacks. These would mainly warm up arm muscles, which would be used in the session. And for a pulse raiser, the performer could complete 5 lengths of a swimming pool at a slow pace to get blood pumping around the body efficiently. This would warm up the muscles, including the core, which would be used in the exercise session. Friday session, the performer could participate in shadow boxing lightly in order to warm up. It would mainly work on arm movements and warm up the muscles in the arm, which are the main muscles used in the exercise session. The performer would also bounce on their toes and hop around during the box size, which would warm up the leg muscles for the squats and sprints during the exercise session. The performer could take part in yoga session after week 1 of the training program. Although yoga would be fairly demanding, the performer should still be able to comfortably complete it, and it would help stretch out all their muscles and reduce the heart rate of the performer. For Friday session, the performer could cycle home from the training session after stretching out their arms by using circular motions and crossing over the body. The cycle ride would have to be short and not too fast in order to slowly reduce the heart rate of the performer. As this is the first week of the training program for the performer, they would have a lot of rest days, as the body wouldn't be used to doing too much exercise in 1 week, and that could cause too much stress on the body and cause injury. The first session focuses mainly on upper body strength and core. This is so the performer can improve their aerobic capabilities and therefore their overall fitness. The upper body strength would help muscle mass by increasing the muscle mass of the performer, and the core exercises would be effective at burning off fat from the performer and help them lose weight. Both of these together would help the performer to gain a better score in the BMI test, as the test is used as a way to determine whether someone is obese or whether their lifestyle is healthy. The reps and sets of the sessions are low, as it's the first week and the performer might not be able to complete a high amount of reps and sets, as they might not be used to the exercises. In the second session of week 1, the performer would take part in mainly upper body exercises. This is again to reduce the amount of fats to muscle of the performer. The performer also has to take part in a sprint. This is to burn off fat, as the sprint would be high intensity and would demand the performer to work hard, therefore burn off some fat. Finally, they're also having to take part in squats. This is because the exercise would work on the muscles in the performer's legs, and therefore would be able to burn off fat and gain more muscle all over the body and not just in one area. An example of how a session isn't too intense is the battle ropes. They're only being used for 1 rep, and although that lasts 45 seconds, it will gradually increase muscle mass around your whole body as it uses upper body, core, legs. It would therefore burn off a lot of fat. For week 2, they will take part in a continuous training session, which consists of a bike ride, a 3K run, and a 3.5K run. And they would also take part in interval training, which would consist of 60-meter sprints, 100-meter sprints, 400 meters, 35 meters uphill, and 800 meters. For the first session of week 2, the performer would be using their legs and would therefore be able to warm up by completing leg stretches such as sweeps, quad pull, heel flips, high knees, and karaoke. Finally, a pulse raiser they could use could be gentle jogging around roughly 400 meters. They would need to be very gentle as they don't want to overwork and injure themselves. They would also use a jog as a pulse raiser, as it is what they would be used in the session, and they are therefore warming up the muscles they would be during the session. For the second session of week 2, the performer could warm up by again going for a gentle jog around 400 meters, as this is using the same muscle groups as the session, and would get the performer's heart rate increased and get them ready for exercise. A cool down for the first session of week 2 could be a fast-paced walk around the facility, which would then turn into a slow walk, as it would reduce heart rate and also get the oxygen still pumping around the body to the legs where it could remove lactic acid. A cool down for the second session of week 2 could be a massage. This would cool down the performer as they wouldn't have to move very much and would therefore reduce the heart rate and return the performer to the resting state. However, the massage would stretch out the performer's muscles and would get the oxygen around the body to the leg where it can remove lactic acid. The first session in week 2 of the training program is a continuous training session. The performer would take part in an 8 km bike ride. It shouldn't take them ages, as it would be going at a steady pace using the aerobic training zone, which is roughly 60 to 80% of the maximum heart rate. This is roughly 120 to 160 beats per minute. After this, the performer should take part in a 3 km run, which should take less than 20 minutes. This again isn't demanding a lot from the performer and should be fairly easy to achieve. Next, the performer should take part in a 3.5 km run, which shouldn't take them too long. They should be able to complete in less than 25 minutes, as it is also easily achievable. For all 3 of these activities, the performer should be in the aerobic training zone. The reason they are taking part in aerobic activity is because it's a good way to lose weight, and they are using their core, and all of their muscles, meaning they would burn off more calories. The second session of week 2 is interval training. This would mean the performer would have to use their anaerobic training zone, which is 80 to 90% of maximum heart rate, which is roughly 160 to 180 beats per minute. This training would require the use of lots of energy and would therefore burn off lots of calories. Training would be high intensity and make the performer have to use all their muscles at the same time at high intensity, and this would burn off a lot of fat and therefore improve their BMI score. Week 3 would consist of a boxercise session, which is shadow boxing, skipping, shuttle runs, jumping jacks, 2 minutes of hitting pads, and a plank. And Friday session would consist of a HIIT session, so alternate lunges, planks, jogging on the spot, press-ups, burpees, and squats. A warm-up for the first session of week 3 could be done during the boxercise session and can consist of jogging on the spot and increasing sprinting on the spot, or jumping jacks and knee raises. A warm-up for the second session of week 3 would need to work on leg muscles and core. This could be done using an SAQ ladder. The performer would use their legs as if they keep their upper body up straight. Then the SAQ ladder would also improve their core and warm it up and prepare the performer for exercise.